Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Saturday Weekend Paranormal Coffee Talk. Yes, I had to change the name. It just didn't sound right coming off the other way because a dear friend of mine has another podcast. So, out of respect, I went ahead and changed the name. We are going to get into some wild subjects this morning, and I'm going to pick everybody's brain. Brother Ryan isn't here yet, so until he arrives, I'm going to save one topic specifically for him. But I'm going to get through the disclaimer and a few other things, announcements and whatnot, and then we'll get on with the show, okay? So the copyright disclaimer is YouTube, because I had to fight for another podcast yesterday. Imagine that. This channel, Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel, and all the individual podcasts on the channel may use some copyrighted materials without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the fair use, which is the Copyright Act of 1976. Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel and all the podcasts on the channel declare fair use of any and all content, including the music, which is off of ViewCut editing app, which is a very good app, by the way. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, making allowances for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, which I try not to do, except for YouTube, commentary, we do. News reporting, we do. Teaching, we try. Scholarship, well, I'm not the brightest subject in the room, so, yeah, scholarship. Research, definitely. Education value, too. Parody, definitely. And let's not forget the entertainment value. Per Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, otherwise known as the fair use. All righty. With that being said, I have got to announce a couple different things. We are currently, we have a very, very special person that is in the hospital. A lot of tragic things are happening to good people, okay? And we have to ask ourselves, why? It just seems like it's escalated so much. You look at all the airplane accidents and even the one that's missing up in Nome, Alaska. with 10 people on board. How do 10 people just vanish off the face of the earth at the same time in a plane? Okay. You have to ask yourself why all this is happening. Why are we seeing things and experiencing things that we never experienced or even thought were real our whole lives? Okay. We need to cycle this process through. Oh, thank you, Larry. Good to see you in here too, by the way, brother. I'm looking at my phone. So if I look off to the side, I'm looking at my phone, everybody. Okay. It's a real tiny screen. Um, but you know, we do have a lot of things that, how do I want to say this, that are happening that have supernatural connections. And you know, I've always been an advocate for trying to help people process. Stuart, good to see you, brother. Um, Deidre, great to see you. I thank you for being here, Deidre. Um, we, I've always tried to help people process the difference between the flesh and blood stuff that happens around us and the supernatural stuff that happens around us. Ida, great to see you. Candy, great to see you. Sorry if I can't get in the chat right now. Dan, I'm glad you're here. Um, there is both, and both can actually exist within the same being. Okay. And the reason I use the word being is because it covers everything. It covers, you know, animals, cryptids, humanity, you know, everything. Okay. Um, but it just seems more lately than ever we have had this reoccurring tragedy day after day after day. And you know, some people, you know, they chalk it up to, oh, it's the end of times and it's going to get worse and da 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 da. And you know, I'm a firm believer that it is close to the end of times. Um, you know, there's several other podcasters out there and religious folk that know more about the Christian belief than I do, but all the books in the Apocrypha that I've studied and the missing scrolls, Dead Sea Scrolls that were taken out of the Bible during the reign of Constantine. And that's a whole nother subject, folks. Okay, we'll get into that eventually, probably tomorrow. We'll get into the whole Constantine thing, okay? And I'll explain to you why my beliefs are so strong in the way I'm looking at things. Amy, good to see you. But there's definitely we've got a lot of problems. People are innocent people are being hurt every day, and or unalived every day. You know, it really is. Jason, great to see you. Urso, good to see you. Thank you for being here. Um, we need prayers for everybody that's going through and experiencing these tragic events in their lives lately, now more than ever. And you know, I found out through Roxanne and you know, talking to her this morning, that one of our dear chat family members, Firewater, was admitted to the hospital. She found out through Eric, and Roxanne told me right away. And I don't think anybody's really announced this yet, but you know, I would really like to have prayers for Firewater. She's an extraordinary person, and the thing going on with her right now is blatantly an attack, and it's getting to the point where, like I said, great, fantastic people, good people are being attacked by. Now I'm going to come off crazy, okay? So just hear me out, okay? by supernatural means. Okay. Um, and it started back probably around Y2K when it got really bad for our world, if you recall the whole Y2K thing. Um, those of you that are old like me. Um, but, you know, just if you can, just remember those people that are hurting in your prayers. It would mean a lot for me if we did that, and it would mean a lot to them if we did that. And pray for everybody in the chat to have a safe and healthy existence with the way the world's going. I think we need that more than anything right now. Um, if I succeed in anything with today's podcast, I want to at least open up the possibilities for you all to investigate a little bit deeper into just the surface of what's going on. You have to go much deeper than that, and I'll explain that um, here over time in the podcast this morning. There is so much to talk about right now. Yes, Ida, you're right. CERN did play a big role into the way things are. Also, and I hate to say this to all my Catholic brothers and sisters out there, but the Vatican played a big role in it too. The Pope did. Okay. You know that one world religion they're talking about, and they've been talking about since 2000. Um, the Pope's going to have a big deal ushering in that. Why do you think he's making announcements like Paranormal Oz? Good to see you. Oh, and by the way, Oz, I mailed that package for you. It's a little envelope, but it's kind of puffy. So, but I mailed it I don't know, well over a week ago, just so you know, okay? So keep an eye out for it. Um, but to continue with what I was saying, the Pope has come out and made a lot of comments about how aliens, humanity is not the only existence in the world, and there are aliens, and we have to treat each other with the same, da, 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 how the spiel goes. Um, so I really do. I'm a firm believer in that he will be the one to usher in the one world religion. Okay. Especially if he tries to make it connected to a higher power. Okay. And we have to remember that, we need to, Celia, good to see you. We need to question it. We need to question everything. Okay. We have that right. As human beings, it's called free will. Okay. You can question everything. You can question everything under the sun and the moon and the stars. Okay. The one thing I don't question is the fact that we do have a creator. Okay, whether you call him the Heavenly Father, whether you call him God, whether you call him Jesus, whether you call him Yeshua or Yahuwah, whatever you want to call him, it is fine with me. George, good to see you, man. This is where it gets weird. Okay. I have a very dear friends that are in South Carolina. Okay. I've been trying for weeks now to find somebody that investigates cryptids in that area to go and give them a hand. And several of you have seen my post on Facebook and everything, requesting assistance for them. But I'm starting to think that it's a little bit more than what just normal cryptid activity would be. And I will show you, you all here in a second, okay? And Dan and everybody, it's gonna Daryl and everybody, and Candy and George, it's gonna blow you all away. It just I want you to look at it with an open mind, okay? And really, really ask yourself questions about the possibility of us as humans being able to be possessed by evil entities, and having our body taken. Oh, Cynthia, thank you so much. Yeah, let me see if I can pop that up. There we go. Thank you so much, Cynthia. Um, that means a lot to me. 7 months. That's extraordinary. Thank you very, very much. The existence of humanity, um, that the existence of humanity has always been questioned. Okay, like why are we here? It's the ultimate question. The Why does humanity exist? Why was humanity made? Does humanity have a god? Does humanity, believe in this, that, and the other thing? And I think it comes down to individuality. Yeah, if I can spit that out, individuality. Okay, and what I see happening on a daily basis, and all the reports that I'm getting, and I'm getting a lot of reports thanks to everybody out there. Thank you for sending me this stuff, because this stuff is it's such a type of energetic feeling when you all send me stuff to investigate and research, and I delve into it, and I'm taken back. I'm literally taken back, because this is above and beyond what I expected to find out. And this is only, and please, this is only my opinions and my theories. This in no ways and means makes me a professional, a someone that oh, another good one. Thank you, girl with a gong. 2 months now. Yeah, awesome. Um, yeah, Dan, you're right. The Pandora box has been definitely opened up. There is, how do I want to say this? If the human body can be possessed by evil entities, then why can't cryptids be? Why can't normal animals, wildlife, be? I mean, if you think about it, there are legends out there. Hey, AO, thank you very much. New member. Awesome. Awesome. Look at that. Awesome. Thank you. Um, if you look at this as in the possibility of any type of life, no matter whether it's alien, human, wildlife, domesticated animal, it doesn't matter. If you look at the possibility that any type of life can possibly be possessed by evil entities, and you compare it with a lot of the stuff that we're seeing happening, okay? And this is just Carl. Good to see you. Good to see you, man. Um, you compare it to what we're seeing on a wide range of everywhere around America, okay, and the world. I mean, this phenomena of seeing things and having things interact with us isn't just localized to America only. I mean, you can find thousands of daily things posted about South America. You can find thousands of things posted daily about Africa, about the Middle East, about, Europe. This stuff is happening worldwide. Okay. I mean, try to grasp that. It's happening worldwide. 8.4 billion with a B people experiencing this stuff every single day. Okay. Stuff that they can't explain. And this is the reason that I go ahead and I do the research that I do. And I'm up late at night on, and getting yelled at for being up past my bedtime. But this is how my brain works. I have to do it until I find out and try to rationalize why it's happening. And that's what I've been doing lately. Um, so what I have come up with is this theory. And I'm going to show you some pictures from what my friend sent me from South Carolina. And you can voice your opinion, okay? Please. I value everybody's opinion in the chat, so please. Urso and everybody, Roxanne, please, everybody, just let me know what you think about these pictures, okay? And it very well could be, they talk about pareidolia, okay? And, some of it could be, but this is too distinctive, okay? Now, pareidolia, it works with shadow and form, okay? It works with, like, if you're videotaping and the wind is blowing and the leaves in a tree form a certain shape and you see something, it's that kind of a thing. Whereas this, taken from a still camera positioned in the woods of the property that my friends live on, a very remote property that has had weird activity for over a year now. In fact, a year to the day, practically, is how he put it with me. Yeah, quantum entanglement negates time and space. That is true, Dan. And the quantum entanglement theory, too, is a very sound theory. That is for sure. I brought that up in past videos a couple years ago, actually. God, I can't believe how long I've been doing this. Jeez. I gotta retire, guys. I'm getting too old for this shit. anyways, yeah, give my brain a rest. I'm going to pop the pictures up, and I want you guys to take a look at these very, very intensely if you can, or even screenshot it and look at it yourself. I realize a copy of a copy is not going to do you any good, really, but, because the more you copy it, the more it degrades. But I just, there's just too many what ifs. Okay. And when I looked at the picture, here's one of the pictures. Okay. Now, this is from mounted on a tree. Okay. And obviously it's a heavily wooded area with patches of opening periodically, and it's across past a gated fence. Now, if you look towards the second tree in, you will see a shadow form. Okay. And the shadow form is in the shadow form of a Bigfoot. Now, I have looked at this and investigated this photograph over and over and over again, and I see no reason for the shadow to be there. Okay. It's impossible with the way the sunlight was at the time of the day that this picture was taken. The shadow would not be there. So, how do I say this? Can it be supernatural? Can it be possibly Nephilim? Could it be the spirit of a cryptid that, say, maybe lived there and enjoyed living there on the land and has that same residual energy that you or I would have going to our favorite places when we lived in this body. Okay. So I put that question out to everybody. But at the same time, I was thinking that and looking at it and finding out that that shadow changes. And there's a close up of it. Okay. Now, you look at it, it actually has a head and shoulders, wide shoulders. Okay. Like 4 foot wide shoulders. I mean, it's massive for a shadow. Okay. But a picture taken after this literally shows no shadow there. Okay. So my thing is this. Take a good long look at this picture that I have up right now and see if you see what I see. And that's all I'm going to ask you. Okay, don't think about pareidolia, don't think about any of that. Just think and look at it and discern what you see in the picture, and I will show you what I found. And this is from using different filters on it and coming to the conclusion that this is something of a supernatural type of thing. And let me tell you, this family has had tragedy, okay? And as I've always said, with tragedy comes the supernatural attachment, okay? Now, could this be the Mothman? I thought about that because if you think about it, and you compare it to, what people have seen as far as Mothman goes, it would definitely make sense. Okay. Because Mothman to me is the type of being that is almost like a angelic type of a thing, but more of a has to do with tragedy. And this family has had tragedy. This family, sadly, um, has lost family members, and my heart goes out to them. You know, very tragic, and I can only imagine the activity on this property has escalated immensely because of it. So I'm going to pop up another picture. So you guys have had time to look at this picture. Okay. I'm going to pop up what I found. And I normally don't like doing this. I hate red circles and yellow circles. So bear with me. Okay. Now look at the picture and see what you see. There are faces in that picture. There are evil looking faces in that picture, almost demonic looking faces. The one on the bottom by the gate, it actually looks like possibly, a combination of Bigfoot and Dogman. Because it's got the conical head. The one above that looks more demonic, and just evil. Now, I'm not saying that they're not having a cryptid problem. What I'm saying is they have a combination of a cryptid and a supernatural problem. A supernatural problem that has existed on the property since tragedy has happened. And times being as they are today, we need to remember that when tragic things happen, there is going to be supernatural things that happen. Okay. And usually they are not good. Okay. Excuse me, I got to get a drink of coffee, guys. But just take a look at that and tell me what you see. And I'm going to pop up the chat. I'm going to leave this picture up there for a couple minutes, and I'm going to take some coffee, and I'm going to take a look at the chat and just see what you all see. Yeah, Damari, I thought about let's see, is that the original land spirit that never had a life? That could be. It very well could be an elemental, Ida. It very well could be. Um, it could be. You could be dealing with a cryptid that's possessed, by an evil entity. You know, I see a huge eye on the bottom. Yeah, the eye is. It almost reminds me of like the eye of Ra, like how they show the eye or the eye of Horus. Um, it's very weird. Mary, good to see you. No, dogmen. Yeah, I agree with you, Mary. Dogmen aren't necessarily evil because every time I've had an encounter with them and everybody I've talked to, they usually run the other way. So I don't, unless they could be, and see, that's the question. Um, can they be possessed by evil entities like humans can? I'm after doing all my research on this topic. Um, I have come to my conclusion that anything that is given life and breath um, can be possessed by an evil entity. I don't care what you want to call it. If you want to call it a walk in, a walk in. If you want to call it demonic, call it demonic. If you want to call it just, an evil entity, that's fine. A fallen angel, that's fine. You call it whatever you want. A jinn, it is what it is. Um, so I'm under the impression right now that they're having a combination of cryptid activity, which is attracted to. Now think about it. I said this previously in podcasts. Cryptid activity is attracted to graveyards, cemeteries, burial mounds, sacred sites, tragic events. Could there be a connection? Could there be a connection? I definitely think there is a connection. And this is strictly my own theories, okay? Um, if you think about it, let me get the picture off of there for right now. If you think about it, um, people are seeing and experiencing encounters that they have no natural explanation for. And we all know that the supernatural doesn't happen on natural means. Okay. Anybody that has done paranormal investigations know that. Um, the supernatural aspect of things um, depends on the energy that they have to come forth. That's why batteries go dead during paranormal investigations. That's why equipment goes haywire and cameras don't work. Um, take for instance, what's the explanation of that? Taking from video of of a certain type of a being that was spotted in Europe. Okay, in the skies of Europe. Yes, it was an overcast day, which makes this even more pronounced. supernatural. Now, the connection, the only way I could make the connection is that, like I said, if you breathe life into something, okay, and I'm not saying like you're God and you breathe life into something and something has the ability to be possessed. It's the same theory that I have with when you name an object, when you name your car or your truck, when you name your domesticated pets, when you name your property, your ranch that you live on, your farm, your off the grid cabin. When you name something, you give that something life, whether you believe it or not. I always have believed, and through my own personal history with words, words are spells, words cast power. Okay? The Creator spoke it, and it happened. Okay? Let there be light, and it happened. Okay? Words need to be chosen wisely, because the more you speak it and the more you talk of it, you give it more power and influence. Okay? So, say if something happens tragic in our lives, say, like when my parents passed away, it was a very, very sad time for me, especially when my father passed away. um, it devastated me. Okay, it took something from me, and I started getting sucked back into the darker aspects of my upbringing, and I refused to allow that. And thank God I was working full time at the time, basically, and was able to keep my mind off of something else. Um, but we have to remember that we have this ability within us that if we name something, we give something power. And that something can attract negativity because we named it. Okay. It can also attract positivity. But if you're thinking more negative than you are positive, what's it going to attract? You see what I mean? So if you have a cryptid on your property, okay, whether it's Dogman, whether it's Bigfoot, whether it's um, you know, anything really, lizard man, I mean, goat man, sheep squatch. I mean, think about all the cryptids that have been spotted in North America alone. And if you have cryptid activity in your on your property, there's a reason for it. We as native people, when we see Big Brother, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, whatever you want to call them, it's because something has happened in our lives that we're experiencing seeing him. Um, Take, for instance, brother Eric, my dear little brother Eric, who is on the show with me. The reason he's not here today, a tragic loss, a loss of life. But merely a week and a half at the most prior to that, he heard and saw an owl. Those of you that are Lakota or have native blood know that when you hear or see an owl, it's forecasting a death, tragedy. Well, that's why Eric's not here today, okay? And God bless him for, what he's going through and stuff, and my heart goes out to the family, for healing and comfort. But it's the way that our world is set up. Okay? It's literally the way our world is set up. We are set up. We are literally set up to fail. Okay? That's Amy, that's what I saw too at the bottom of that picture. Absolutely. Um a combination really. But you know, it's it's always been difficult to discern the difference between a cryptid and something supernatural, because we have everybody in the field that is so set on only it can only be one way or the other. Take it from a Native American, take it from an indigenous person that grew up with the legends and grew up with the ceremonies and stuff and the dark arts and all that, and experiencing and growing up on a paranormal and haunted property. um you can have both. Okay, there are stories of cryptid beings coming out of fire from indigenous cultures. Smoke wolves are one of them. Spearfinger is another one. Stone giant is another one. There's so many of them. There's so many of them, that come out of fire or smoke, during either ceremony or just having like a type of a gathering. Okay. um it depends on everybody's minds at the time. Okay, whether you leave that door open. Okay, and it's just my opinion and my theory that cryptids can be possessed. And I think that right now, with what's going on in the property down there. Exactly, Roxanne. Exactly. It does remind me of that too. Um, yeah, Dan, it definitely could be that too. I mean, this is why I'm bringing this up to everybody in the chat. Camo Dad, good to see you, man. I'm glad you're in here. Um, Kyle, good to see you. Good to have you in here. Um, there, there is a connection. Something can be flesh and bone and bleed, and at the same time can be supernatural. Okay. Take for instance all the times that people say, the hunters say, "Oh, I shot an arrow and it didn't even flinch," or "I shot my 30-30 at it and it didn't even do nothing, didn't even look at me," or it turned and looked and just walked away. There is something to be said about the possibility of these beings that live amongst us, whether it's a cryptid or whether it's alien, whether it's a shape shifting entity, person that lives amongst us, whether it's a wild animal, whether it's a domesticated animal. There's something to be said about them being possibly possessed by evil entities. Okay, we wouldn't have stories of devil dogs and devil monkeys, um, if we didn't have that possibility of having cryptids and domesticated animals and wild animals being possessed by evil. Okay. And we've all heard horror stories. We all remember the movie Cujo. Okay. You remember the movie Cujo, which, by the way, is a terrifying movie. Um, but if humans can be possessed by evil, it would make sense to me that other living beings on this planet can be possessed also by evil. Okay. And that, like I said, is just a theory, but it's a pretty sound theory. Okay. It is, well, I'm just gonna say I know there's going to be some people that think it's just a crazy half-assed theory and all that, but you know, we have lost so much knowledge, and we are slowly regaining that knowledge. And you know, we yeah, Deidre, that movie is, yeah, Girl with a Gong. That movie is just, yeah, it blew my mind when it first came out. It's like I said, I was on a podcast Friday night with um, Star Fox. You all know him as Kenny, and he is an extraordinary young man. Um, he was on Jessica's show a while back, about 3 weeks ago. Um, and he is of vampiric um, being. Okay. Um, he's not evil. Okay. Um, he's a very, very decent person. And to talk to him, he's an amazing individual. And he's growing so much knowledge wise. Um, hold on one second. Anyways, I think this is the most I've talked in a while. Um, anyways, I brought up the fact that, whenever somebody sees like Bigfoot tracks in the woods, and all that, and they stop all of a sudden, and there's nothing around for 50 to 75 feet or even 100 feet, to where it could climb up a tree or something, or go down into a cave, they just stop. And I said, Kenny, I said, it makes more sense to me, and through my research that I've done lately in this phenomena, that why are we saying that it has to be strictly flesh and blood? Why couldn't that have been the spirit, the essence of a Bigfoot that frequented that area in his life or her life, that enjoyed that area, and that their spirit, oh, thank you, Girl with a Gong, thank you so much, that means a lot. um Thank you very much. um why couldn't that be like a residual energy from like a paranormal investigation? You know, how it's like a recorder playing over and over again at certain times of the year, or certain times of the day or the night. And then they just disappear. I mean, if you think about it, it's exactly what we see in paranormal investigations. Okay. When in the old days, we used to use baby powder a lot during investigations. We'd spread baby powder on a floor, on a wooden floor, or on a dresser, and we put an object down and we'd ask the spirit to move the object, and the object would move, and you'd see the trail in or the pattern within the baby powder. Okay. It's old trick. Okay. That's why to this day I'll take whether it's baby powder or cornmeal or something, it is something very fine with me everywhere I go. Okay. Um, it's the same idea, the same concept. And I just, I have such a hard time convincing people that you can have both. You most certainly can have both. Um, to me, it seems like some people are just hung up on it being just an animal. Which, by the way, Bigfoot, from my interactions with them, they're not just animals. They are very, very intelligent, very intelligent, very, very family oriented, very, very caring. When they're friends with you, they're friends for life and then some. Okay. Um, but I just don't believe that, and being in my heart of hearts and in the blood and the legends I was taught and all the interactions I had throughout the 60 years of my life, that they can be both. It can be flesh and blood. It can be supernatural. It can be possessed. It makes perfect sense why these things are happening. Okay. And I'm going to take it one step further. Okay. And this is where the weirdness gets into everything. I mean, if you thought this was weird so far, it's going to get a lot weirder. Okay. So hang with me. I'm going to pop something up on the screen. And I know, the earth is a globe, the earth is flat. I'm not into all that. Okay. I go by what spirit tells me, what the creator tells me. And the creator tells me that the earth is basically an egg on its side. Okay. It's egg shaped on the side. Okay. And yes, there is what they call the firmament, or the ether, whatever you want to call it. Some call it the veil. Okay. I'm going to show you something. And this is something that a couple kids drew with chalk on a sidewalk after they had a conversation with a special being. Okay. And I want you to take a look at this. And it clearly, it's pretty miraculous. It's pretty pretty out there too. Okay. But just hear me out. Okay. This is probably the most accurate depiction of our world. Okay. I mean, these kids even went so far as to put mountain ranges on the ends of the dome, like the ice wall. How are they going to know about an ice wall? They're kids that play with chalk. Okay. But now bear with me. Here's where this theory takes a really weird turn. Okay. Do you see how they drew the lines of the oceans, the underwater, I guess, river systems, you could say, out the side of the land and into the waters above the firmament? Okay. Now, bear with me. Okay. Please just bear with me. Okay. I realize I can't be in the chat right now. So hopefully Roxanne and Urso can help me out with answering questions. Um, the the theory I have, and see the void, there's a void in the land below us that they show. Kind of like the hollow earth theory of cryptids and stuff, where cryptids come and go. Okay. Well, what about other life? There's a lot of weird things happening in our waters lately. Okay. We all know that. We all heard of Beauvais Island and that whole incident with the so-called Leviathan um, coming forth. Um, but this takes it above and beyond what I would have thought. They have a connection from within the dome through the water to above the firmament and to below the earth where the waters reside. Okay. Now think about this. Okay. With an open mind. All right. The earth is not a flat like a dime or a quarter. I'm sorry. It's not. Okay. It's as close to a globe as we can get to. Okay. Now, this makes sense. Where do UFOs go? There's two things that UFOs do in this world that interact physically with our world, our environment. What is that? They go in and out of water, and they go in and out of volcanoes. Think about that. Think about the connection to other areas of our world that we don't know exist, but they do. And they travel there. Maybe that's why their craft are basically multimedia craft. They can go from flying Mach 200 in the air to flying Mach 200 in the water at the blink of an eye. Maybe, just maybe, there is more to our lives than we realize. Maybe, just maybe, it's more of a connection with the earth than what we thought of. And maybe, just maybe, the supernatural's being kicked up because of this supernatural way of viewing the earth. It would make sense. When you throw NASA into the mix, NASA is what? It was founded as an oceanographical investigating agency. Okay, not a space agency. It was founded to investigate and explore the oceans. How many of you knew that? How does NASA train their astronauts to go into space? They train them in water. Everything NASA does is connected to water. Okay. Now, I know this took a strange left right off the train into the wood line, down the embankment. But that's just one of the connections I'm making to everything. Okay. All the tragedy we're experiencing in our lives, all the turmoil, all the frustration, the heartache is because it's all connected. Does that make sense? Now, I very well could be just out of my freaking mind and just, I accept that. Okay. But I also accept this theory too of maybe America is more than just what America is. Maybe America is being hidden from what it really was back in the ancient times. Maybe America is the hidden Egypt. Maybe the great state of Utah is the original hidden Israel. Maybe, just maybe, we're having all this weird, demonic, evil, cryptid, paranormal, supernatural activity heightened because the Nephilim are coming back, because their spirits are part of this land. Maybe that's why we're seeing cryptids more and we're having more of the paranormal happen. Maybe the evil entities that are possessing the cryptids and the wildlife and making deformed deers looking like a wendigo, making making other cryptids look like they're half goat and half Bigfoot. You know, maybe, just maybe, the Nephilim spirit is the evil that's possessing the wildlife and the cryptids. And that's why we're seeing so much of this heightened activity. Okay. Now, this is just merely a theory. Okay. And it's only my theory. All right. I don't expect anybody to back me up on this. Okay. But I wouldn't be me if I didn't talk about this and bring this forth to everybody. Okay. The whole connection that I have found through my years and years of researching this is the connection of water and the old world, the ancient world. Okay. The world of the Anunnaki. Okay. The world of the Naga. Okay. The Naga is a whole nother animal, literally. Maybe, just maybe, it's the Naga that live in the inner earth. Those of you that don't know what I'm talking about when I talk about a Naga, the Nagas are connected to the Anunnaki. Okay. It has been in my research that I have found that the Anunnaki didn't just intermix human DNA or monkey DNA and other animals, but they also intermixed the DNA of snakes, reptilians, and stuff like that to create other sentient beings. Okay. The Naga are classified as their own separate species from the reptilian. The reptilians that we're used to have tails and 2 legs and 2 arms and all that, and could be classified as demonic looking. Could be, 15 to 20 feet tall, would look like a dragon to most people from the old world. So that could be the reason we have legends of dragons. Now, these are just theories, okay? But Also, in Hindu belief, that in writings there was a wedding between a Naga princess and a prince of the Hindu faith. Now you say, how can that be? Well, that would mean that the Naga would exist and that they are amongst us. Okay, and that they disguise themselves very well. Very well. Extremely well. And they have been here along with the reptilians for a very, very long time. A very long time. A very long time. Old maps show them next to Bigfoot and other cryptids like Dogman. So the possibility of my theories being correct could open up a whole new can of worms for us, folks. It really could. That is why I saw this picture and assumed that since tragedy happened to this family and on the property, that it would make sense that the darkness would find its way to the property and interact and feed off of the anguish, the heartache, the negative energy that is put out from the tragic event and any tragic event. So, do I see a Bigfoot there? I see something there in the shape of a Bigfoot, but it could be a Mothman. It could be something completely supernatural, okay, that only appears when it needs to find the energy from the negative vibrations, the lower vibrations that we put out, okay? And like I said, this is all connected. This isn't just a random coincidence. This is years of my research, and I've come to the conclusion that this is what's happening. Look at the head and the shoulders of the darkness at the top of the frame of the picture. Compare it to this of the Mothman. Again, I'll show you. You see the shape of the shoulders and the head, how the head looks like it's recessed into the body. And again, look at that. Whether we believe it or not, folks, there is a supernatural connection to everything that happens in this world. I don't know how else to say it. There is the flesh and blood, but at the same time, we can have the flesh and blood and the supernatural. It's just the way it is. So I leave it up to you guys. You all just, you can discern your own information. You all are you're smarter than I am. Okay, because I'm just a dumb old Indian. All right, you you guys are the ones that are discerning this information. Okay, and you're investigating it further. But it seems from my lifetime and my experiences and all the reports that I've taken over the years and investigated and researched, that when you're dealing with just a cryptid or just a paranormal event, you're also at the same time dealing with the supernatural event. Is it the spirits of the Nephilim? Is it the fallen angels? I'd be curious to see what everybody's thoughts are on this. Okay, I'm gonna go to the chat real quick, but I want to play something for you all to see. Okay, and just remember, it's only about 24 seconds. Okay, and it's the shape shifting video that came out several months back, maybe a year ago. And it's very telling. Pretty much these things do exist. Okay, it's not just flesh and bone and blood that we're dealing with. It's not just the paranormal we're dealing with. It is supernatural. It can be an attachment to something that we give life to, or the Creator gives life to. The Creator breathes life into something, whether it's wildlife, whether it's humanity, whether it's alien, whether it's some cryptid that we have no idea even existed. As long as that has life and has a purpose, it can be supernaturally possessed. Otherwise, we wouldn't have reports of the black red-eyed dogs or the red-eyed Bigfoot or the red-eyed dogmen or werewolf encounters. there is that possibility of that connection. And the sooner we realize that, the farther we're going to be able to figure out how to understand how this world works. Okay. And that was the whole purpose of the podcast today. The Naga exist, the reptilians exist, Bigfoot exists, Dogman is real, Fae are real, elementals are real, shadow people are real. Okay? It's all real. Now, granted, our brain basically perceives what our eyes visualize. Okay? And our brain is set up to recognize familiarity of certain things. Okay? But at the same time, our brain is probably the best computer that God, the Father, ever created, if you think about it. So, my question to everybody is, do we limit ourselves to believe that these things are just flesh and blood? Or do we realize that everything that is living can have the possibility of being possessed by evil or darkness? And that's why we see what we see sometimes. I leave that possibility up to you all. Okay? Question everything that we do and interact with. Because until we figure out what we're seeing, what we're interacting with, we are never going to look at shadows, faces, and things in the sky normal ever again. These things exist. Others have said it. Okay? Others have said it. Here's another picture of one that I'm researching. You can see something there behind the tall grasses and stuff. Well, when you white shade it, you can see it even better. Now, granted, there is a thing called pareidolia, but you can eliminate the perspective of the shadow if you can correlate the placement of the sun at the time of the day. We have ways of checking things, okay? And it's been my experience through checking things that the more I question, the more I good, Amy. Very good. Hawks are very, very good medicine. Very good medicine. This is why I ask people to, Pyromedic, good to see you. I haven't seen you in so long. Good to see you. Commander Ashter, good to see you. I forgot what I was going to say. See, Pyro, you screwed me up. I'm not used to seeing you in here. It's good to see you. we need to question everything. And I know I say it time and time again, but the more I research stuff and the more I investigate stuff and I do things for friends that have these situations rise to where they can't explain it, and the more I find out, the more I'm hungry to investigate more. Um, do I know 100% that my theories are correct? No, I don't. They are just theories at that. They are my opinions, okay, from my years of research and interacting with these things. Um, Both paranormal and cryptid and supernatural. Um, do I feel that there's more to it? Yes, I do. I just haven't found it yet. And that's why I rely on the chat family, my extended family in the chat, all you beautiful people. You're the encyclopedias, you're the dictionaries, you're the researchers too. You're the fingers on the hand, okay, that can take this and investigate it further. But I am a firm believer that cryptid creatures and anything living can be possessed by supernatural means, okay? Whether it's evil or good, okay? Angels can possess people too, just as well as the demonic can, okay? So we can't forget that, not everything is going to be an evil possession, but the majority of them are. I'd say a good 90% of them are, okay? But how else are you going to explain how people have the strength to pick up a car off of somebody that's being crushed to death like a child or an adult that they love? Where did they get that strength from? Probably an angel possessing them and giving them the strength and the adrenaline rush to move the immovable object. It's like that old saying when it comes from my people, and one that I say often to people. In fact, I told Kenny last night on his podcast. We're supposed to be humble in this life, very humble. We're supposed to be lower than any other life form in this life, so low as in like water. Yet, when we're humble like water, we're strong enough that when that water comes together in a mass, that it can move mountains, that it can change the course of a river, that it can change the depths of the ocean. Think about it. Water. I leave you all with that today. Okay. I know you all are going to have questions, but it's for me, it's pretty reasonable that this could be what's happening today. And I long for you guys to and find the truth. Okay, you guys are researchers. You guys are the extended family that can take this research long after I'm gone from this world. And believe me, it's it's uh it's not long. But take this research and run with it and do your own research, okay? Make the make this connection that I am having to try to make after all my years of research. Try to continue it. I'm no I'm no scientist, I'm no doctor, I'm no physicist, I'm no, I'm just an old, tired medicine man, veteran that grew up in a world of pain and darkness and misery, and trying to make a difference, trying to thank you, Roxanne. Thank you very much. That means a lot. And it's like Daryl said in the beginning. Can we call you crazy before the podcast? And I said, yeah. I said I would agree with that before anything. Okay, but these are just theories. Okay, this is just my theory. Okay, and if you listen to the whole podcast, it does kind of make sense. Okay, Amy, thank you for being here. Commander, thank you for being here. Thank you very much. That means a lot to me and Roxanne and everybody. Um, we have such an opportunity to try and discern what's happening and where the connections lie. And I just think that, I can't, hey, Bounty Hunter, good to see you. I just can't think of more of a connection than water. I mean, if you think about it, all the missing people go missing over water. The plane that just disappeared on the way to Nome, Alaska, over water, 10 people on board, gone. Gone. People in national parks that take off by themselves go missing next to water. UFOs go in and out from the air in multi-medium, probably even interdimensional craft from air into water and into volcanoes. It's been videotaped. It's been confirmed that these UFOs, UAPs, whatever the hell you want to call it nowadays, government, who gives a rat's ass? I call it a UFO. I can't explain it, so it's a flying object, unexplained. They're going into volcanoes, seen videotaped going into volcanoes. They're videotaped going into water, Then you think about that whole map of the earth that I showed on today's podcast and the connection to the water and the waterways that lead to other areas that we have no idea exist, but they do. What we call portals could be just a shortcut for them to get to the water, whether it's on our planet or another, or even another dimension. So it's, I don't know, man. It's just theory, okay? And that's all it is. But after 60 years of researching this stuff and growing up around this stuff and interacting with this stuff, it kind of makes sense. So yes, you have the flesh and blood cryptid creatures. You have the cryptid creatures that can be possessed by evil and that can show you the red eyes and just make you piss your pants. Okay, let's admit it. Okay, you have your paranormal, investigations that go awry with demonic type activity. Okay, I hate that word demonic though. Okay, because not everything is demonic in a paranormal investigation. Okay, but the one thing we've got to not do is go into an investigation and go, that's demonic, this is demonic, and that's demonic. We don't want to do that. Okay. We want to stay calm and go at it open-mindedly and try to figure it out and discern what's going on and discern the differences and separate the differences and then try to figure out why all this activity is happening. And that's hence that brought forth my theories in today's podcast. So if this is the only podcast that you watch in the future, or you play for your children or your grandchildren in the future, I urge you to do that, because this is going to happen until humanity comes to an end. So, and it's only going to get progressively worse. So it's better that the young ones realize what we're dealing with, if you know what I mean. Okay. So with that being said, thank you everybody for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you in the chat. Question everything. Okay. Love you all. You all, you mean the world to me. Okay. And to my family. We appreciate you all, and, stay weird, weirdo warriors. Okay. Question everything. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Okay. Take care, everybody.